Good morning, Mr. Bagby here on this, let's see, Wednesday morning. You kind of lose track when there's a Monday holiday. Well, let's get right into sharing our daily work assignment for today. Today is, oh, look at that, already a mistake. Yes, Mr. Bagby is quite capable of making errors. It is day 12. It is September 9th, Wednesday, and PE for my homeroom. So we're going to wrap up our book today, which is the Time Warp Series number 6, Tut. Even though King Tut does not make an appearance in the book, I do want you to find actual ancient Egyptian facts in this historical fiction fantasy novel, and the pages again are at the bottom of this, as you can see. It's kind of a lengthy reading today, but that's all right. Our books are going to get ever more complex and longer, and hopefully deeper and more entertaining, and get you more into reading novels. So, you know, fiction books often are turned into movies, and the movie's always different. It's like when people read a book that they love, sometimes the movie greatly disappoints them. Sometimes vice versa. Sometimes people see the movie first, then read the book and are like, oh, I like the movie better. How would your book be different as a movie, the book that you're reading now, your fiction book? And why are movie versions of books often so different? Let me give you a little hint. When you're reading, you need lots of description. When you're doing a movie, you can see what something looks like in a couple seconds. So think about it that way, how movies and books are different. Nonfiction, what nonfiction text features would you use if you were creating your own nonfiction book? And by the way, we will be creating our own nonfiction book, but when you get back here into the classroom, we're holding out hope, you know, and we have a nice little template to use, a real bound book that you are able to create all on your own. So what text features would you use? I kept this up here because it's just a good thing to have with the 6 short videos. And there's a new one, Creating Writing Tips for Kids on Safe YouTube by a real author. It's around 6 minutes long, and it's really good. He's got great advice. And it's not corny. He's good. Maybe we'll watch it together. Again, the story is due Monday, and I just repeated this right here so you can see it again. But I do want you to be ready to share what your story, where your story is right now, to read some of it out loud so that we can give you some feedback. You are in a classroom of online students, and we are in that scene meeting every day, and we need to start taking part in contributing to that classroom experience online. Now, some of you do. In fact, you love to share, but we need to get everybody's voice because everybody's voice matters. And sometimes the people that don't speak up as much really have a lot to share. They just don't want to for some reason, or they are shy, or they feel embarrassed. But I want you to be comfortable in sharing what you have with us. We have a new set of words today, 2, 6, 8, 11, and 16. 2, 6, 8, 11, and 16. Let's see what those are. 2, agreeable. 6, careless. 8, climate. 11, construct. And 16, dangle. So you have those words today to pop into your, oh, where did we go? There we go. To pop into your spelling training and to write sentences about. Now the spelling training, I think you should be able to see that screen. You literally import your list of words right here. You can copy them down and paste them in, and it will test you. It's really cool. It's a great little site. It doesn't do vocabulary, but it does a great job with all different kinds of games and tests to make sure you know how to spell those words. There will be a test Thursday on subjects and predicates, subjects, verb, agreement, review with these websites. We have two different sets, two different places to go to today to review those two concepts. And you need to make sure that you are set. And if you have any questions today, make sure that you ask, because tomorrow you will have an online test to do with subjects and predicates and subject verb agreement. Day 2 of Lewis and Clark, the great American explorers of the West that Thomas Jefferson sent out. They departed from St. Louis and went all the way to the Pacific coast. So what did they do? Let's see. Let's just read it. Thomas Jefferson was the president who bought the Louisiana Territory from Napoleon Bonaparte, by the way. He had many questions about this new land, what kinds of plants, animals, and people could be found on these lands. President Jefferson wondered what the land west of the Rocky Mountains was like. He knew some of it was Mexico's land, but he couldn't help wondering if there was a route by river that would lead to the Pacific Ocean. So interesting information there, but full of errors. Find the errors and fix them. We have a new video, fun video on, it's really silly. It's from an old song called Walk Like an Egyptian, and it talks about ancient Egyptian history. But I decided to switch gears a little bit. We started a new book today on ancient Egypt, a little more colorful. And what's good about this is that I can copy the individual pages very nice and neatly. And here's something that we're going to do today that we haven't done yet. When we get to this point of looking at the book and sharing it, I'm going to ask you to read individual pages. So let's say I call on, let's say, Landon. Landon, the main, ask you to read this page right here. The main food of both wealthy and poor Egyptians is bread and beer made from wheat and barley. Rarely do we have meat and vegetables. We use stones to grind grains to create flour to make bread. Our teeth are worn by the broken bits of stone that are in the flour and bread. So we'll ask individual students to read today. Be ready. And don't act like you don't hear me, because we're not in the same room together. Again, find your area that you want to share on Google Maps. I'm really looking forward to this. And if some of you are ready today, I'll let you do it today. You can show us. And remember, you have to tell us what hemisphere it's in. Every place has 2 hemispheric descriptions. If you're above the equator, you're north. If you're below the equator, you're south. The western hemisphere is everything from the prime meridian that runs through England all the way over to somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. And the eastern is the opposite side of the world. And I think I'll review that today just so you know, make sure you know what the hemisphere means. The continent, the country, the state, town, city, or village. What you want us to see and why you think it's important for us to see it. Again, there's nothing to turn in here. You're just sharing. Gift to block? Oh man, balance. We're going to talk about this in class today in our Teams meeting. Physical, mental, emotional, diet, art, music, money, friends, hobbies. How does balance apply to these different areas? Okay, so we have 9 categories. We're going to focus on 3 of them to start off with. Physical, mental, and emotional. What does the word balance mean in reference to those? How do we stay balanced physically, mentally, and emotionally? What does it mean to be out of balance? And by the way, we've all been out of balance before, where our emotions are just wackadoodle, whether too crazy high or too crazy low, or, you know, we're not being steady. And we've all had times in our life when those things happen. And physical balance too, and mental. So we'll talk about that today. The answers to yesterday's puzzle are right here. 6 was the answer to this one. And it looks like a simple answer, but to get to it, it was very difficult. If you got this right, Congratulations. It was not easy. We're going to look at this awesome balance puzzles page today. We're going to try some of them together, and there are 3 levels of mastery. So these you can do as many as you want, although we will do some of them together in class today. Fun fact of the day regarding scales and balances, since balance is our gifted block theme. Research proves that examples of scales were discovered in Egypt around 2000 BC. One of the earliest examples, a simple and effective system, relied on a rod suspended by a string in the middle, balancing materials and pans on either side. A known weight or test weight of stone was added to one side to balance straight, which determined the weight of the other pan's contents. These weighing scales were regularly incorporated in Egyptian paintings. Early Egyptian civilizations also placed spiritual significance on balance and claimed one of their gods would measure the heart of the deceased, which would determine if they were heavy with good or bad deeds. The heart had to weigh less than a feather. So that applies up here to what we were talking about with the gifted balance. These concepts of balance are not new regarding the physical and mental and emotional state of us as people. They're quite ancient. People understood very early on that we not only had this outside life, but we had an interior life inside of our mind, inside of our emotions, and inside of what we thought, even though we didn't speak it out loud. So there it is. There's Anubis measuring. There's the heart. There's the feather. And it looks like the feather is heavier. So this person's going to be able to move on to the wonderful afterlife instead of being consumed by the destroyer. When did you first feel guilty for something that weighed upon your heart and mind? Ooh, Mr. B. Family fun in quotation marks. I have one that I will share. The first time I told a whopper of a lie and tried to get out of it. Yikes, it's called my sister's popcorn ball prize that I ate and lied about. So I'll tell you that story today. It's a good one. So we have our words down here again and the class novel. I'm very excited again about this part right here. And again, I will be calling on people to read individual pages. Now, it won't look like this all together. It'll be individual pages, but they're very easy to copy and put into our document so you can reference them and review them. All right, well, that's about it. I hope we have a great day today and everybody's here and on time in the meeting. See you soon.